about 1:51 here where we are. And we're just getting home from church. Well, we got out of church earlier. And then we had to run a quick errand and stop at the grocery store and pick up one or two things for today for lunch and for dinner. So one of the things you don't really necessarily count on so much is when you add extra people, your grocery budget grows. So I needed to pick up a few things. And actually, I'm trying to make sure that my mom has nice and healthy meals and something to just put some meat back on her bones. So it's Sunday, and people traditionally sit down and do the Sunday meal. So I like full meals, and so we decided to, just do some things for lunch. And I just wanted to show you what we were doing for lunch and then what we're prepping for dinner. So I'm going to turn my camera around and let you see what we're doing. All right, so over here so I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. Into this pan, I'm going to add in small onions. I just did these in slices. Now this is for lunch. Now I'm just putting in 2 small onions that I just cut in circles this time. And we're having ham and cheese sandwiches for lunch with spinach, but I'm actually going to warm ham and cheese and let that get brown. I turn my heat down just a little bit so that it doesn't cook too fast. The next thing that I'm doing over here in my crock pot, and if you have not ever used crock pot liners, I recommend them highly. The crock pot, so I liner in, and I put this on high. Plugged this in probably about an hour ago, so it is getting pretty warm. Into the crock pot, I'm going to add in 3 cans because I have to do semi-homemade, specifically because I'm starting it so late in the afternoon. 3 cans of pinto beans. So of course, if they're already in the can, they're soaked and partially cooked, but we're going to cook them a little bit longer. Stir. Just giving my onions a really, really quick stir. And then I'm actually going to put my pinto beans into my crock pot. So I am going to let this cook for probably about 4 hours. That I have on high. I have 3 smoked neck bones. That's 1 small can of pinto beans. This is a larger can of pinto beans. And then I'm adding in 1 more can. Now we probably won't eat all of this tonight, and we'll have leftovers for tomorrow, but I'm okay with leftovers. That saves me on having to add in about a half a can of water. Just about a half a can of water. This is an 1/8 teaspoon. So that's 1 full teaspoon of salt. I'm going to put in some cracked black pepper, just seasoned to taste, and we can always readjust the seasoning if we need to. I'm going to throw in some garlic powder, and then a little bit of onion powder, a pat of butter. Make that 2 pats. Now, while that's going, we're just going to put the crock pot top on and let that cook. So, I've got my onions going. And I'm just sauteing these because I don't like crunchy vegetables. So just the quick saute is going to help them to soften, and it'll make it a little easier when I go to put it on my sandwich. Alright. So to this, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. Remember, that's just 1/8 of a teaspoon. So that's 2/8 of a teaspoon. And I'm going to do a little bit of pepper, cracked black pepper, just to taste. I'm going to do a little bit of garlic powder. You always want to season your veggies too. Alrighty, and I'm going to put in just a small pat of butter there, just to help that. And then I'm going to give it a quick stir, and just let that keep cooking. Just let that keep cooking. Now, over on the other side of the kitchen, I am doing the pinto beans and neck bones. But then I picked up these whole organic chickens. And they're just 2 small chickens, so that's why I'm doing 2 of them. And I'm just going to go over the top of this chicken. We cleaned him out. We took all of his innards out. We did all of that. So that's a little bit of garlic powder, not garlic salt, strictly because of my blood pressure. This is regular salt. Just a little bit of regular salt. That's 1/8 of a teaspoon of regular salt. And then I'm going to do some cracked black pepper on top. Just salt him up. You want to salt and pepper your bird pretty nicely and liberally, because we're going to put a marinade over this and let it kind of rest for a little bit before we. So to that, I'm adding in a little a roast prime rib rub. It's all just seasonings to me. I don't really think about what I'm adding most times. It's a little season here, a little seasoning there. Now to that, I'm going to take an orange or 2 oranges. And I'm going to slice these. Let me give my onions a quick stir. So these onions are getting nice and brown. And I am going to turn that down just a hair. Add a little bit more butter. And to that I'm going to add in. So I turn my onions down a hair. And I'm always having a couple of things going on in my kitchen at one time. So I'm adding in about 3/4 of the package of organic spinach. Because spinach does wilt down pretty nicely. Now, back to my chicken. So I already have here 1 additional onion. And then I also have these 2 oranges, which I'm just going to slice in sections. 4 sections. Pull that off. Because I'm going to shove this inside of my chicken. Now, if you have not ever shoved anything up your chicken, I encourage you. Citrus is a nice pair with poultry for me. And I do appreciate a nice juicy chicken. So it's going to help to make my chicken moist. It's kind of that same similar principle with turkey. Alright, so I've got my onions and spinach going there. 2 onions. I just chopped those. So they're going right in. Right inside of the cavity of the chicken. That's 1. And then I'm actually going to try to stuff in this whole orange inside of the chicken as well. Get in where he's got some skin underneath in there. Then I'm going to take the rest of this onion and stick it in the cavity of his brother. Because I think chickens are like twins. Alright. And then we're going right on the inside of him with the rest of this orange. And I'm going to do like a marinade over the top of the chicken. And then I'm going to do an orange marmalade barbecue sauce. So I've got, so to that in there working, I'm going to add in some butter. And this is just country crock. It's not anything special. And now what I'm going to do is go underneath the skin. And I'm going to add that butter underneath the skin. And what that's going to do is it's going to cook from the inside out and allow that butter to just melt and keep the chicken moist on the inside. And I do like to kind of massage it around and down from the chicken. And I'm just going to take pieces of this butter, margarine, whatever you want to call it, and I'm just going underneath that skin. Just right underneath the skin. Now we've dealt with this chicken and we've handled it a little bit. So I do believe that it does have to have time to rest. So I got enough underneath there. And if you can tell, I've got that orange in there. And that's resting nicely underneath that skin. I turned this way down since I was working with the chicken and I didn't want it to burn. But the onions are caramelized and the spinach is wilted. And I used 3/4 of the container of spinach. And it's already wilted down that far. A wishbone. This is just a teriyaki marinade that we've had. And again, I think it's going to pair nicely with the citrus that I've stuffed inside the chicken. And so I'm just going to take this and pour it over my chicken. And we're going to let him rest for a little while. And I'm going to baste him. And I call my chicken him like it's a guy or something. But I'm going to baste this. And I'm going to put a little bit of this marinade inside of the orange marmalade basting sauce that I'm going to make in just a little bit. Chicken is pretty much done. Say hi, y'all. Hi, y'all. Those are my kids. All right. So we're going to finish this up. I'm going to turn my heat back up. Grab my sandwich that my son made for me with his nice lovely. Here's how I'm going to do some regular ham. We just have this in the fridge. And I'm just pulling several of those pieces out. This is thin shaved. So I'm going to just pull them apart. Throw them in here. And tomorrow, after we eat our chicken and whatever we have left, I'll probably make leftover sandwiches with the chicken as well. So I'm just pulling apart slices of this shaved deli. This is just honey ham. And you can hear with it just hitting that pan because it was cold and in the fridge. So again, this is just warming through. But it already changes. It just changes. It's a game changer. So there's 2 onions in there. There's 3/4 of a thing of spinach and just some shaved deli ham. To that, I'm adding in on my sandwich. This is extra sharp New York white cheddar cheese. My son made my sandwich already, but I had other plans. It's like the Lord, He got other plans. So this is hot, it's warm, it's nice. The sandwich is going to be extra good. I didn't add any seasoning except I seasoned up my onions with just a little salt and black pepper. So now I'm pulling this off because I won't eat all of this. So I'm just going to pull off enough to lay on this sandwich. And then I'll put the rest in here because somebody else might want it warm. Now to this, I'm just going to put the top back on my sandwich. I'm going to put the rest of my butter into my pan. And then I'm going to put my sandwich into the pan. Quite a few steps, but it only seems that way because I had to do the chicken and the beans on the crock pot beforehand. If I was just doing my lunch sandwich, it would have been pretty simple. So that just goes right into the pan, and we're going to grill this. So it's going to be a hot ham and cheese, and I'm just going to flip that. Can you grab me a big plate, because this one is paper plate. And again, all we're doing is making a hot ham and cheese sandwich. And give me the chips. And so this is what our lunch looks like. Going with dinner, I'm going to do these yams. I'll jack these up a little bit with some butter and different things there. I'm just doing chips on one side. My sandwich is done. My cheese should be melted, and it is. I'm just going to pull this out, pop my heat off. And there it is. So that's our lunch from the inside. There it is. That's a hot ham and cheese sandwich. You can tell all that cheese is melted in there. Got the onions and the spinach. About $4.09 here. I have 2 large cans and 1 small can of pinto beans. And I just simply did some seasoning in here. Salt, black pepper. I did some butter. And then at the bottom of this, I have a pack of pork neck bones. And so I have this cooking in a slow cooker bag, which are life. If you've not found slow cooker bags, let me encourage you to go find them. And they always have these with coupons. I think they're $3.29 like at Harris Teeter, and there's $1 off. So it'll be like $2.29. I think you get 8 in a box, 4 to 8 in a box. I can't remember exactly. So I do have that going, and that's been cooking on high for about 2 hours. It doesn't need to cook for a very, very long time simply because the beans are already, they were canned beans. I didn't do them from the bags because I didn't do it before I left for church. So I did it when I got home. So this has been cooking now for about 2 hours. It'll go for another 2 hours on high. And we're just trying to cook the meat through, which is at the bottom of that. So that's what I have going on in the crock pot. Over here, I'm going to do the candied yams or the sweet potatoes. And they did have yam patties, and there was a manager special. They were $1.19. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do 16 of those, and of course my kids will have those for today and tomorrow. The best chicken that I could probably ever show you. I don't know why my door is sticking. I gotta check that out. This is my chicken, and I did the 2 whole chickens from Food Line. And so what I did was I washed them real good, pulled out all the innards from the inside, and then I just shoved into the inside of my chicken. I did some chopped onions and oranges. So because we did a citrus marinade, I did a teriyaki marinade on top of that. I also shoved underneath the skin some butter, just any kind of butter, and then I seasoned it, salt and black pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, onion powder, and some pot roast rub. Now I know that sounds really different, but I mean, it's gonna be delish. And what I'm gonna end up doing is doing an orange marmalade barbecue sauce that I'm just gonna end up basting that chicken in. And then I'm going to do some cheesy cheddar cornbread. And probably that'll be like the last 15 minutes of cooking. So I'm going to roast these at 350 degrees. So my oven is at 350 degrees. I'm going to roast these 2 chickens off at 350 degrees for about 2 hours. So it's 4:13 now. We're probably going to be eating about 6:15 or so, because we had a pretty substantial lunch. So I'm just having that in my oven. It's going to be really good. You may not trust me now, but trust me, I'm just saying. It's going to be really try to really stir good. This a little bit if I can, just so we can see what the beans and neck bones look like. Neck bone look, can I just tell you? I used to really cook a lot more southern than I do now. And the only reason I got these pork neck bones was really just to flavor the beans. I used my grandparents. You know, I grew up on a really small farm, and so we cook Southern country comfort food all the time. This is not something that I do traditionally now, and I really got those neck bones because they were smoked and they were going to add flavor to the beans. And of course, like I said, this is going to last us for a couple meals. So I'm just trying to do some stuff ahead. I probably need to be making some make ahead pancakes, and I haven't gotten that done yet. But I'm going to go try to get some videos edited and do a few more things. I'm trying to, if you've joined me on my YouTube channel, I just want to say thank you so much. Well, now over almost 1,200 subscribers, probably a little bit over 12, just about 1,200. And that's so awesome because here I am, little old me, you know, just living in my house, raising my kids, trying to do the best I can at life. And I've got all these people interested in my life, or maybe, you know, I always pray that my life can parallel somebody else's, and maybe there's something you can pick up from me, or definitely something I can pick up from you. So I'm honored to have people follow us, just kind of see what our journey is like, and to really let folks know that, you know, God has done so much for us. I can't even imagine. I can't even tell you if I could just, Pastor talked today about going down your list of thankfulness. If I could just tell you all the things God has done for me, I mean, my list would go on and on and on. Here I was, 7 years ago, thinking my life was totally over with the fact that my ex-husband didn't want to be with us anymore. And here we are, just on top of the world, it would seem. And I'm not doing anything fabulous. I'm just living life, raising kids, cooking in my kitchen. And we have so many people to share that with. So I'm just thankful that you guys are joining us. Barbecue sauce going yesterday. Now, if y'all didn't see them pork chops yesterday, I'm very, very sorry. I should have filmed that. I baked some, I don't even know what you call it because I just made it up in my mind. But it was a red raspberry barbecue pork chops, and they were amazing. Let me just tell you what I did in case you're interested and you might want to try this. So I had 2 packages of pork chops. I think there were about 8 pork chops altogether. And what I did was I had some cherry pomegranate VH splash juice. So I washed off the pork chops, laid them in a big, deep glass dish, salt and peppered them, did all that, laid across 2 onions, and then I poured in the bottom of the dish. It probably was about this much of the cherry pomegranate V8 splash juice, and I let them bake like that for about 2 hours. And then when it was about two hours had gone by, I took red raspberry jelly and honey barbecue sauce and mixed that together, and then I poured it over the top. I also threw in some cranberries in the pre-baking stage, and then I let that bake for another 30 minutes, and it just came out delicious. I got pictures. I didn't get a video. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm skipping subject, y'all. Y'all pray for me because my mind is just not where it needs to be right now. But this is one of the outfits I was able to get at the swap. You probably can't even tell, and I don't have shoes on, so. But it's a little black dress. I took my jewelry off here. And then there's like this kind of poncho wrap thing that has fringe on the end. So I wore it to church today, and it was really pretty, and I didn't have to pay for it at all. We did a ladies swap that I was a part of here in the town where I live. And I didn't pay for anything. It looked really pretty. So, okay, so it's been about 45 minutes that I've had the chicken in the oven. And the skin has firmed up really nicely. If you can tell, my oranges or the citrus inside has plumped up. And the chickens have plumped themselves. So what I'm getting ready to do is baste these in the orange marmalade sauce that I made. So here's what I used. I probably had about a third of the orange marmalade left. I had just a tiny bit of the honey barbecue sauce I used yesterday on the pork chops. And I took some of the teriyaki marinade that I previously used to marinate the chicken in. I put it all in a bowl, and then I've just been stirring it here. So what I'm going to do, I didn't add any brown sugar or anything like that. I just added those 3 ingredients. Then I'm going to take my baster brush and begin to baste the chicken with this particular mixture. So again, this is just the orange marmalade, it's the barbecue sauce, and the teriyaki dressing or marinade. So I'm just going to take my basting brush, and then I'm just going to go all over the chicken. I'm going to get his legs, get the inside of him down by the thighs. I'm going to get this leg in there as well. And you can see in the orange marmalade that it does have the orange zest in there. Remember, we did the butter, so the butter has melted, and that's what you see in the bottom of that pan. The chicken juices or the drippings plus the melted butter that's already been in there. And that's giving it a nice sheen. It's making it real pretty. And so I just like to baste a couple times throughout the cooking process. It smells really, really good. I don't taste as I cook, but I look to touch, and my chicken feels nice and firm, which means it is getting cooked. And so I'm just taking this basting brush and I'm basting this marinade You can see the zest from the oranges just all on here. I'm gonna make sure you get the wings, and then make sure you get the leg, so that every piece of the chicken is getting coated with that orange marmalade barbecue sauce. And it's going to be really good. So this is going to probably cook for about another 45 minutes to an hour and 15. So anywhere between in there. We're going to baste it in between. And then I will show you the final product. Oh my goodness, look at the butter. You can see that butter is just pouring out of that skin. And the skin is nice and getting firm. So some people like firmer skin. And then the oranges, again, adding in that nice zesty, citrusy flavor. We're going to add just a little bit of that to the outside of that chicken. Now, the beans, and I'm leaving that there. The beans are actually boiling. So we did two and a small can of pinto beans with the smoked neck bones. They've been in the crock pot now for about 3 hours. And we're leaving them in there until the chicken is completely done. I've only added in just a little bit of seasonings in there, so that's cooking. Left to do, I've got to put in the sweet potato rounds or the sweet potato patties to make candied yams. And I'll do these for my oldest daughter because she loves these. And then I'm going to do a cheesy cornbread. So anyway, that's kind of where we are on the chicken. This is going back in for another hour, 45 minutes to an hour and 15. And then we'll see what it looks like in that time. This is about 2 hours, not quite 2 hours yet, of the chickens being in the oven. And so what I'm going to do is pull it out one more time. And then I'm going to baste the chicken. I'm going to baste the chicken with the orange marmalade barbecue sauce that I made previously. One more good time. And in this sauce, I have orange marmalade jelly, a little bit of barbecue sauce, and some of the marinade that I used to marinate the chicken prior to me putting it in the oven. And so this is like making a sweet, sticky glaze. And it is browning up really nicely. I probably should have put some foil on it, but we do like our skin to be nice and crispy around here. You can see the orange zest that's inside of the marmalade. And so I'm just putting this on the chicken. This is probably going to go for about 30 more minutes in the oven. And to that, I'm going to add in the cornbread and finish up the beans. So that's going to be the last basting of the chicken prior to it being ready. So that's going to be the last basting. So I'm putting that back in my oven. Brown rice, and I'm putting about a cup of brown rice into the beans. And remember, into the beans I have smoked neck bones and 3 cans, 2 big cans and 1 smaller can of pinto beans. So I put about a cup of rice into the beans. This girl likes yams. And I found these yam patties at Food Line under Manager Special. You get 8 in a pack for $1.19. So I'm simply just going to pull these out. I did not have to peel the sweet potatoes. All I had to do was pull them out of the pack and put them in the dish. And I'm going to do both of these because Shamika will probably eat several. And then again, what's left, because I can have sweet potatoes for work, then I can take, some sweet potatoes in my lunch. And the kids will like them. So this is one of those things that, of course, you're just warming it through. It's already pre-cooked. But I'm going to jack it up a little bit. And then we're going to put the cornbread in. So I've got 16 patties in there. And to that, I'm going to add in some brown sugar. So just some sprinkling of brown sugar. Now they're naturally sweet, but you do want to bring out the sweetness and the cinnamon, buddy. And then I'm just going to add in a little bit of pats of butter, margarine, whatever you want to call this, butter spread, just so that it's moistured. And then that'll all cook together. So I've got the yams to go in. So the chicken is in, the yams are in. Oh, I forgot my cinnamon. You're right. Here. Thank you, lovely. Cinnamon. Forgot my cinnamon. Thank you. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to do is a regular Jiffy corn muffin mix. Now, if you do Mexican or taco night or chili, you can do this with chili as well. So what I'm doing is I'm taking just a simple box of the Jiffy cornbread. I'm going to take 1 egg and a little bit of milk. It says a 1/3 cup of milk. I'm not measuring it. I need 1 egg. Third cup of milk. And my cheese. And you're just going to mix it, mix it, mix it. Now again, if you do a chili and if you don't mind a spicy kicked up cornbread, to this you can add in some jalapeno and any kind of cheese, Colby Jack, cheddar, whatever you like. We are out of shredded cheese, or we're not actually out of shredded cheese. I just didn't bring any inside out of the deep freezer. So we're going to just, not only have 1 egg left, so I'm just going to do a double batch of the cornbread. That way I don't have to put 1 egg back in the fridge. But again, if you're doing chili, my sister loves jalapenos, so I would add in those for her. And you can partial out your batter. If you have some who like cheese and some who don't like cheese, or some who don't like jalapenos, you can do half the batter with it and half without. It's just simple and plain. Make it however the directions tell you to make it. The mix, and then add in whatever you want to add in after the fact. So again, for me, if we're doing a chili, and I know my sister's coming, I'll do a jalapeno cornbread for her. The only thing I would suggest is if you're doing like whole jalapenos or even jalapeno halves, chop them fine, because you don't want them to be too hot for the people eating them. Then for the kids, of course, you can do on the side. Now, if you really like the taste of corn, you can add in whole kernel corn to this. You don't have to add in whole kernel corn. It's not a requirement. So I'm adding in a couple slices of the cheese simply because I didn't have any shredded cheese in the house. And it won't unfreeze quick enough to get this in, because I'm trying to be done within the next 30 minutes. So that's a couple slices. I'm going to take this whisk and just shred up my cheese this way. If you agitate it enough, it'll all fall to pieces. So I'm just going to take this whisk and just break it down. Normally a shredded cheese works just fine. And it's just going to melt in. You won't even know what's in there. I have another friend who actually, when she makes a Jiffy, she actually puts in whole kernel corn. I don't recommend cream corn, but whole kernel corn. Drain it off really well. And then if you want to put the whole kernel corn in, you're doing good, because it gives it another dimension or a texture to it. Some people add in butter to this. So if you look now, I've got just like little cheese chunks in there. Just because shredded cheese works better. But again, I've got the Jiffy corn mix just like I would normally make it. And I've added in cheese. Alright, so that's done there. So I'm going to take my little ramekins here because I'm doing everybody gets their own cornbread. Spraying these down. Remember I hauled these a couple months ago. I was at the Goodwill or somewhere and they had these for 69¢. I wish I could have gotten more of these. But everybody gets their own little cornbread. Serving of cornbread is probably multiple servings. 2 servings probably at least. But we're not going to make them as thick. But it's just an added little treat to be able to have your own. So spray those good. This is just a canola oil cooking spray, and then I just had one of these extras from when I made banana bread. And I actually probably need to make banana bread now because I've got some bananas that need to be used. So I've got my mixture here. I'm going to grab a spoon, a cup, and just dish in. And then they're going straight into the 350-degree oven for about 15 to 18 minutes. We'll check it and then see where we are. Remember, you can add in anything. Some people add brown sugar. Some people add regular white sugar. Some people add in the whole kernel corn.
Yeah, did you put sugar in it?
I did not put sugar because to me it's sweet enough, but I did not put sugar. But we can probably put some brown sugar on the top, or when it's done, right as it comes out of the oven, we can probably put a little bit of brown sugar and some butter, like a butter brown sugar mixture just right on top, and that would melt and kind of make it a little bit more dessertish than dinnerish. And then right into this regular pan with the rest of it. And that may have to cook a little bit longer, but I only had 4 of the ramekins. What our chicken looks like. All I have to say is, Lord. It's going to go down in somebody's kitchen. Oh my, yep. Wish you were here. I mean, I really wish you were here to enjoy it with us. So about 350 degrees. I'm going to put it on for about 15 minutes and see where we are after about 15 minutes. Okay, everybody, so I'm pulling the cornbread out of the oven. This is the last of it. Everything is done that needed to cook, and everything is out of the oven. Let me see if I can just sit that there. There we go. I need to get me a couple more of these trivets. I gotta find some of those. Okay, everything is done. So what I'm doing now is I'm just gonna take a little bit of that margarine spread and spread it over top of the cornbread. It has begun to pull away from the sides of the ramekin, so we know it's done. And you could see I had it on broil because it baked fine, but I wanted it to be nice and brown. So I put it on broil for just a few minutes to give that top crustiness to the bread. And then I'm just adding a little bit of the margarine to the top of that. The chicken is done. If you look at the chicken, I almost stole a piece of that skin, but I thought, that would be so tragic and wretched, actually. So I left it on there, but the skin is done. It's nice and done. Everything is nice and done. It's hot. I love to eat hot meals. I don't like to cook one part and then 20 minutes later cook another part. That just doesn't work for my personality type, but y'all pray for me. It's going to get better soon. So let me just tell you what we got before the kids begin to come over and dig in. We do have the orange marmalade glazed chicken. These again I got at Food Line on Manager Special for $3. These were the whole natural chickens, and I'm still in this piece of skin. The end. Nice and crunchy. So I made my own orange marmalade barbecue sauce, and I basted that stuffed it with the oranges and the onions. Let me just say. Give me a minute, y'all. Okay. I got the yam patties. I bought these at Food Line. They were $1.10 for 8 in a pack. $1.19 for 8 in a pack. And I got 2 packs of those. They were manager special markdown. Just a little bit of brown sugar, cinnamon, and a few pieces of butter. Now these are so soft to the touch. When I put them in, they were much more firm. But now, if I were to pull these away from the edges or the corners, I mean, it is just tender. You can see that. So you don't have to add the cinnamon or the brown sugar if it's not your preference, but that's how my kids like it. I have the cheesy cornbread. This is just Jiffy cornbread mix made up regularly, added in cheese. You can also add in whole kernel corn, and you can also add in jalapenos if you like it hot. If you're making a chili, Tex-Mex, add in the jalapenos, but do cut them fine. And then the last thing we have over here are the beans and rice. So I put in my crock pot 3 neck bones, and they were already smoked, so kind of partially done. To that I added in 2 big cans and a small can of pinto beans, and then I added in rice, about the a cup of rice about the last 30 minutes. Salt and black pepper, a little bit of butter. And so this is what we're eating for dinner. The kids are going to eat well, I pray. And this is what we're doing. So thank you for stopping by our kitchen. We'll see you next time we cook. Bye.